أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
استووا مستقيم. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين، إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين، اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين، آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والليل إذا يغشى والنهار إذا تجلى وما خلق الذكر والأنثى إن سعيكم لشتى فأما من أعطى واتقى وصدق بالحسنى فسنيسره لليسرى وأما من بخل واستغنى وكذب بالحسنى فسنيسره للعسرى وما يغني عنه ماله إذا تردى إن علينا للهدى وإن لنا للآخرة والأولى فأنذرتكم نارا تلظى لا يصلاها إلا الأشقى الذي كذب وتولى وسيجنبها الأتقى الذي يؤتي ماله يتزكى وما لأحد عنده من نعمة تجزى إلا ابتغاء وجه ربه الأعلى ولسوف يرضى. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين، إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين، اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين، آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. استغفر الله. اللهم أنت السلام.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear brothers and sisters, welcome to the Friday night program here at the Islamic Center of Hawthorne. Alhamdulillah, we have a special treat for you all today. Alhamdulillah, Sheikh Ma'an from Guidance College will be giving a lecture about financial stabilities of the Muslim family, inshallah. That's going to happen right after the sunnah, and also we're going to have a PowerPoint presentation. So what we're going to do after you pray the sunnah, we're going to turn off the lights here, and you're going to be facing the PowerPoint and also the stage, inshallah. And also for the kids, we have kids program, babysitting, and also the teens program, the back classrooms. So it's really a family program for everybody, inshallah. Last announcement, we have the summer kids program starting July 4th to August 4th. And this program is from 2 to 6 p.m. Monday through Thursday. You drop off your kid here in the masjid and you leave. And the kid, your children will have opportunity to meet other Muslim kids and also have fun with dodgeball and museum and beach trips and things like that. So inshallah khair, good opportunity for your family, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Also, for the sisters, you're more than welcome to open the curtain so you can see the presentation and the speaker too, inshallah.
So 9:35 is the iqama, right? 9:35. Should I start, Omar? لسه شارب ستار وورز قبل ما اجي. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أمسينا وأمسى الملك لله والحمد لله لا شريك له لا إله إلا هو إليه النشور. أمسينا على فطرة الإسلام وكلمة الإخلاص وعلى دين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى ملة أبينا إبراهيم حنيفا وما كان من المشركين. اللهم إنا أمسينا منك في نعمة وعافية وستر فأتم علينا نعمتك وعافيتك وسترك في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما أمسى بنا من نعمة أو بأحد من خلقك فمنك وحدك لا شريك لك فلك الحمد ولك الشكر. يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. رضينا بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم نبيا ورسولا. أحبتي السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. طبتم وطاب ممشاكم وتبوأتم من الجنة منزلا بإذن الله. ثم أما بعد. I'm really glad to be with you for the third or the fourth time visiting this community. I'm happy with everything except for one thing, which is the weather on the West Coast. I came from Houston. I was like with the hope that I will be enjoying a wonderful weather here, but unfortunately, apparently it's the same. Humidity-wise, temperature-wise, it is almost the same. Very hot weather, subhanallah. As you see here, and as it was announced several times, our topic for tonight is financial stability for the Muslim family. Financial stability for the Muslim family. We need to agree on something before we proceed. That talking about financial, that's too much, Akhib. If you keep it on, please. Yeah. What's that? Yeah. نور كفاية لو طفيت مش الهذا. I want you to ponder more on those two different quotes. اليد العليا خير من اليد السفلى. The upper hand is better than the lower hand. So the Prophet ﷺ actually is the one who is establishing that financial stability is a part of our deen. Who is the one who has the upper hand? The one who is financially stable. The one who is financially stable. So much so that he or she does have extra to give to other people. Prophet ﷺ is establishing that you being the one of the upper hand is way better than being the one of the lower hand waiting for sadaqah or donation or support from other people. Al-yad al-sufla actually is the hand or the head of the one who is financially unstable. So be financially stable and do not feel guilty or do not feel bad. Do not think that we are discussing something that is, insignificant. Well, it is a part of our deen. It is a part of our deen to be financially stable. Look at the second hadith when Sa'd radiallahu anhu, one of the wealthy companions, was about to pass away, and he was about to leave his daughter behind him. So he wanted to donate or to bequeath, if you wish, after his death, all what he has, or 2/3 of what he has. Prophet ﷺ, well, to bequeath actually is to give to other than the legal heirs or other than the inheritors, like to give it away to others other than your family members, just to make sure we are on the same page. So he wanted to get the permission of the Prophet ﷺ to bequeath 2/3 of his wealth, right, to give it to non-inheritors. Prophet ﷺ did not allow him. He said, how about 1/2? He said, that is too much. How about 1/3? How about 1/3? قال الثلث والثلث كثير. 1/3 and even 1/3 is too much. Now listen to the justification or the fatwa the Prophet ﷺ, why he said الثلث والثلث كثير. 1/3 and even 1/3 is too much. So much so, by the way, that a lot of fuqaha believe that bequeathing 1/3 of your wealth is makruh, because Prophet ﷺ did not like it. And he barely gave an approval to Sa'd radiallahu anhu to bequeath or to donate to other than inheritors 1/3. Here is the justification, which is actually our topic for tonight. إنك إن تذر ورثتك أغنياء خير من أن تذرهم عالة يتكففون الناس. That's the bottom line. Leaving your legal heirs, your family members, your inheritors, wealthy, or if you wish, financially stable, is way better than leaving them needy, begging people. That's exactly, I mean, this is the essence, this is the genesis of our discussion for tonight, which is how to be financially stable, to fulfill actually the wasiyah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Of course, living in such a society here, where the social relationship and the mutual financial support that maybe the majority of us here are immigrants, I would assume, that we used to experience back home does not exist here. I'm not saying that people are bad here, but I'm saying that family and tribal relationship, when someone actually is financially down, he or she finds support from his dad and his brothers and sisters and neighbors and faz'a and support from here or there. That system actually is not here, right? Does not exist. Maybe the community might just make a one-time donation for someone who just recently passed away without leaving anything behind for his family members. But guess what happened? What will happen after just a few months? Everybody will be forgetting about that individual. Unlike the social system and the mutual financial support that we, alhamdulillah, still have back home. And that's why a contemporary study for the contemporary issue has to be done to make sure that we fulfill the wasiyah of the Prophet ﷺ, and without compromising our principles, without falling into haram or committing riba or anything that is financially unacceptable from an Islamic perspective. Of course, the first and the foremost factor that provides you with the financial stability is the career or the job that you have, the business that you have, or the job or the career that you are involved in. Well, you have to make sure that your source of income is a halal one. This is actually unnegotiable, uncompromisable issue, which is really unfortunate to say that some Muslims here in this society, maybe they do not care, maybe they just come up with different fatwa that, okay, you live outside the Muslim world, you're free to do whatever you want. So they do not really care about the source of income, and they end up actually feeding their kids from a haram resource. This is actually one of the taxes that we have to pay here in this society, which is how to strive, how to even struggle sometimes to make sure that your source of income actually is halal, or at least is as halal as possible. And I will explain why I'm saying as halal as possible. That's the first thing. Of course, I mean, we have a lot of slides here that I cannot go through them one by one. By the way, the presentation is not copyrighted. It's available for the masjid. I already sent it to Brother Umar. So, I mean, you can get your own copy if you want. You can put it in your website, or like send it to your email list or your WhatsApp. It's for everybody. It's not copyrighted whatsoever. We need to get like more education about different careers and different jobs. Can you work as an IT, for example, independent IT? Can you work as an IT in a conventional bank? Oh, it makes a big difference. Can you work as an accountant, as a CPA? You have your own office, you have your own business, right? Firm, accounting firm, versus working as an accountant for a mortgage company, or for a credit card company, or for a conventional bank, for example? Can you work in the media? Can you work in the judiciary system here in the US? Can you be a judge? Can you be an attorney? Can you be a public prosecutor? Can you be a taxi driver? How about convenience stores? We have actually a lot of, you see here, a lot of actually options and careers that we need to like read more about to educate ourselves. We as a Fiqh Council, the Assembly of Muslim Jurists of America, مجمع فقهاء الشريعة بأمريكا, we did our job to the best of our knowledge. We did actually a lot of research on this issue. We held one of the annual conferences for the Imams that we hold on an annual basis, and it was about ما يحل ويحرم من المهن والوظائف. I want you please to do some homework. Go to Amja online and search careers in between permissibility and prohibition. Careers in between permissibility and prohibition. If you feel more convenient, reading it in Arabic, that's ما يحل ويحرم من المهن والأعمال والوظائف. You will find a lot of details and a lot of answers for the questions that you have in mind. Bear in mind that this is a collective work. It's not like a fatwa by a certain mufti or no. This is a collective work. I mean, a lot of effort and time and research papers have been submitted and a discussion with like people in charge in different industries to understand the reality and the essence of certain jobs, and based on that deep and scholarly discussion, we came up with with that conclusion. So you will read more about working for the media as an editor, as a reporter, working in the IT field, interest-based institutes like credit and mortgage companies, insurance companies, tax services, etc., accounting, court of law. Can you be an attorney? Can you be a judge, right? Providing that the Constitution and the law of the United States is a non-Islamic one, right? I mean, this is a secular society. It's a man-made law. Can you be a judge here if you can, like, bring justice or reduce harm? Go ahead and just, read more, educate yourself more about those issues. Public prosecutor, judge, real estate agent, and so on and so forth. Of course, I mean, we cannot discuss them like all here, but this is just a reference for us to, go on to read more. Again, I have to skip actually some slides. Some advices here. Not all of them are fiqh rules, just like human experience, and you might agree, you might disagree. Some of them actually are fiqh rules. I mean, they are involved in haram and halal, so we need to be careful. For example, keep enough cash, especially nowadays with the very unstable economics and finance issues that we face in the United States during the pandemic, after the pandemic, during now the Russian-Ukrainian war. A lot of actually instability that we are going through, right? So always keep enough cash, because the very first thing you have to do is to compromise some of the assets that you have if you do not have enough cash. But if you establish that habit of putting some money aside, right? Yourself, your spouse, your kids, establish that culture, that tradition, that habit, whatever you call it, within your household, that you have to put some money aside, even if it is $50 or $100 a month. On the long run, it makes a lot of difference. I do have actually my own IRA, and alhamdulillah, I ask my kids to do the same, like anybody else. I mean, every now and then I go through some financial difficulties. Well, because I do not have enough cash other than the IRA, I would just tap on the IRA and just withdraw, whatever I need, and then I put them back whenever I get back to normal financially. So make sure that you do have some cash, okay, to cover your basic expenses in case of running out of cash. Otherwise, you have to compromise some of the financial assets or the investments that you have. Invest internationally, diversify your investment. Internationally means do not limit yourself to like if you have any investment in the stock market, do not limit yourself to the local, like USA or American stock market. Invest internationally. Again, I mean, the situation nowadays is not as stable as it was before. Diversify your investment. Do not. What I mean by it actually is that do not invest in certain industry because you think that industry is flourishing and more like profitable than others. If you think education nowadays, online education is good, do not invest too much in education. You do not know what will happen after 1 or 2 weeks from now. If you think that cryptocurrency is a very lucrative business, well, it is not. One of our community members told me a few days ago that he lost 85% of his investment. 85%. He invested $250,000, and it grew within 5 years. It became $1 million. Within just a few weeks, subhanAllah, he went down all the way, 85% loss, believe it or not. Now he needs maybe months and months, not even years and years, to recover back. So do not be like so attracted to those pop-up, easy profit that you might hear about every now and then. You need to calm down and make like a very mature and a very wise decision when it comes to investing in the market in general. Is cryptocurrency halal to start with? Yes? Yes? Can I see hands? No? Okay, no? Haram? Okay. Halal 100% with no shubhat? طيب. Majority of us did not raise their hand, neither for halal nor haram. طيب. Yeah, we'll discuss it inshallah. So live below your means. It's very connected to the previous one that if you let's say that you make, for example, $5,000 every month and you spend $5,000, right? Well, I assure you that if you make it a priority, you can squeeze your budget and put $100 or $200 aside. You can put $100 or $200 aside and just establish that culture within your household that we need to have some cash money aside. We have a lot of advice. I'm not going to spend too much time. Pay off expensive debts, track your spending, review your credit report, check your financial advisor. Why I'm focusing too much on the stock market? Because the majority of our investment nowadays is involved in the stock market. We're talking about IRA or 401k or 403b, what else? Simple investment account. I mean, like majority of us, in a way or another, we do have investment in the stock market. Moving on, do not try to predict the future. Do not stop contributing to your 401k. That's an important one. I came across some brothers and sisters who do not have 401k whatsoever, although they do work in corporate America. Akhi, why do not you have 401k? Because there is no way for me to make sure that my investment is 100% Sharia compliant, 100%. That is way too much. That's way too much. I mean, wara and being so like a pious individual, a conservative, staying in the safe side is good actually up to a certain limit. But do not be, with all due respect, do not be extremist. I mean, that is way too much. Who told you that there is something called halal investment in the stock market 100%? There is no financial instrument, and I'm responsible for what I say. There is no financial instrument. There is no stock walking on the surface of the earth nowadays that's 100% Sharia compliant. Let's be realistic. Every single financial instrument nowadays does involve certain percentage of haram. And again, I'm responsible for what I say. It's an international, global, economic, capitalist system in which riba and haram and gambling, nature and monopoly involved. I mean, you cannot just pick and choose a stock and claim that, oh, this stock is like pure 100% halal, stock that came from the lifetime of the Prophet ﷺ. It's not the case. It's not the case. So let's be practical. Let's be realistic. We just mentioned the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, إنك أن تذر ورثتك أغنياء خير من أن تذرهم عالة يتكففون الناس. Please do not compromise your 401k. If you work on corporate America, whether you get 401k or whatever the name of the account, take full advantage of this opportunity. Okay, whatever you contribute, whatever you pitch in, whatever your employer actually matches, at the end of the day, this is your money, and this is actually what you need to leave behind whenever you pass away. We do not know when and where and how you're gonna pass. Well, make sure that you leave something behind. You need to leave at least a house for your kids to live in, right? You need to have a source of income. In addition to the social security, you have to secure something for them, at least 401k. So upon your sudden death, la samahallah, at least your kids will not be left unattended financially. Someone actually is taking care of them. The fact that your investment is not 100% Sharia compliant is not an excuse. Jazakallah khair for the wara and for the piety and for being so conservative. But again, you are taking it to the extreme. Okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself said, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. Be conscious to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as much as you can. Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam said, مَا نَهَيْتُكُمْ عَنْهُ فَاجْتَنِبُوهُ. Whatever I prohibit for you, stay away from. وَمَا أَمَرْتُكُمْ بِهِ فَأْتُوا مِنْهُ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. Whatever I command you to do it as much as you can. Right? If having 100% Sharia compliant investment in the stock market is not doable, but you can secure 90% or 80% Sharia compliant investment, go for it. Right? Just make sure that you track approximately or estimate the haram involved in that investment. Let's say, for example, that you reach to a conclusion that the approximate haram in your investment in the stock market, the unavoidable one, right, is 20%. Well, you need to dispose, get rid of 20% of the natural, of the annual growth of that investment, and you pay zakah on the rest, 2.5%, and you're good to go. This is, the best you can do. But do not take it to the extreme by just compromising your 401k 100%. This is absolutely unacceptable, and it's not even required from a Sharia perspective. So do not stop contributing to your 401k. Of course, we have a lot of details, to discuss when it comes to 401k, but generally speaking, this is the concept that we need to understand and implement. Do your best to keep your investment in the stock market, your 401k, your 403b, if you work for non-for-profit organizations, or IRA, or like pension plan, if you do have like any word to say on how to invest your pension plan, if you work for the government, the state, or the federal or the county, do your best to keep your portfolio as Sharia compliant as possible. If that is not the case and you have no word to say whatsoever, just keep it as is and do your best to track and to find out how much is the approximate haram percentage involved in that investment. That percentage, actually, you need to dispose its profit. Again, you have 80% halal, 20% haram. Dispose of 20% of the profit that you make, not the whole amount, not the gross amount. No, the profit that you make, the growth that you make. 20%. You can just donate it, get rid of it, and you pay zakah on the rest, and that is the best you can do. Moving on. Do not make a sudden moves in your investment in the stock market. Do not give up on stocks. Do not pay high management fees. Follow the herd. Do not forego unnecessary insurance. Okay. Do not invest in anything that you do not understand. Okay. That is maybe the first part of the presentation. Second one, as you see here, bank-free financing. What I mean by bank-free financing, if you do have a business and you want to upgrade it, or you want to have like a partnership with others, but you lack enough cash money, the very first thing comes to your mind is to go to the closest bank and to apply for a loan. And those loans, whether personal loan or investment loan or business loan or student loan, they are just an interest-bearing loan. And it is Islamic Finance 101 that borrowing money with interest is haram. Am I correct? Loan actually is not meant to be a mode of finance in the Islamic finance system. Loan is not meant to be a mode of finance. If someone wants to borrow $10,000 from me, for example, I know for a fact that he is in desperate need for that money. He wants to pay for the medical bills or pay for the rent or the tuition fees of his kids. I'll be more than happy to give him $10,000 for a few weeks, for a few months, until he is able to recover and to pay me back $10,000. But if I know that individual wants my money to upgrade his business, he's going to make money out of my money, and he knows, because we both are practicing Muslims, that we do not charge interest. Is it a good business for me to give him $10,000, right, as a Muslim brother, and then he takes my money, he makes a lot of profit out of my $10,000, and then after 1 or 2 years he comes back to me, if he comes back and give me the money, with a big hug, Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh, here's your money back. That's a bad business. Why should I give you my money if I know that you will be making money from my money, right? That's why I'm saying always, loan is not a mode of finance in the Islamic finance system. If I know for a fact that you will be making money from my money, well, let's sit down and talk business. I will not give you my money as a loan, because loan is guaranteed, but I cannot ask, for any surplus, any extra money. I give you $10,000 for whatever, whatever necessity you have. You pay it back to me $10,000, no more and no less. وَأَن تُبْتُمْ فَلَكُمْ رُؤُوسُ أَمْوَالِكُمْ لَا تَظْلِمُونَ وَلَا تُظْلَمُونَ. You guarantee my money, right? But in return, I cannot ask for anything. Now, if you want to get my $10,000 for investment purposes, I cannot give it to you as a loan, right? I can give it to you as a mudaraba. I can contribute cash money. You take the money, you invest the money in whatever we agree upon, car dealership, accessories, whatever, is halal. I cannot guarantee my principal. I cannot guarantee my profit. Here is my money. The market value of your business, let's say, for example, is $10,000. So by me giving you $10,000, we're gonna grow like the partnership or the enterprise will worth $20,000. I give you the money and I go home, right? I'm the silent, right? Or sometimes they call me the sleeping partner. You take care of the money, you invest the money. We agree that you will be entitled to 2/3 of the profit, net profit, and I'm entitled to 1/3. Why we are not dividing the profit equally? Because you work. I mean, you take care of the business. The management is your responsibility. I give you the money, I tear my face and just go home, right? That's called mudaraba. That's called mudaraba. If there is an actual real profit toward the end of the fiscal year or the business course, then we divide the profit based on what we agreed upon, right? And by net profit, I mean that whenever the principal is secured, is back, right? So we do have $20,000 and we have $5,000 or $6,000. Well, in this case, you take $4,000 and you give me $2,000. If there is no profit whatsoever, and it is proven that there was no negligence or carelessness from your side, I cannot go after you and ask you for money. Back home, actually, we have like a very wrong practice where people back home, I mean in Jordan, people actually give money to others and they introduce themselves as a sharik mdharib, right? Sharik mdharib. He gives him the money and asks for a certain return on monthly basis. We are partners. Here is my 10,000 Jordanian dinars, right? And every single month you have to pay me $200. Well, this is not a partnership, right? This is an interest-bearing loan, because like in this case, I'm guaranteeing my principal, I'm guaranteeing my profit. Where is the partnership? Partnership means that we are partners. If there is a profit, everybody will be enjoying the profit. If there is no profit, then I will take my money. If there is an extreme loss, right, a severe loss, like what happened back in 2020, okay, when people started, business and the pandemic started, hitting the economy in the US. Everything actually was frozen. People actually went, ran out of business, right? If there is an extreme, severe loss, I cannot even go after you and ask you for my principal, believe it or not. Well, this is actually based on the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. SubhanAllah, very simple, very precise, very straightforward, to the point. Al-kharaju bil-daman. Al-kharaju bil-daman. Profit follows liability, period. Profit follows liability. If I want to make money from those $10,000 in our example, I have to take the risk of losing the money. Because of the risk and the liability I'm taking by giving you the money, I will be entitled for whatever profit I make. Why I'm giving you this long introduction? Just to make it clear that in the Islamic finance system, any mode of finance whatsoever has to involve in a certain level of liability or risk. And because of that liability, because of that risk, that financier, whether an individual or a bank or a credit card or Islamic credit card company, whatever you want to call it, or even traditional bank, right, can justify that money that he is asking for. Always certain amount of liability has to be involved. Why I'm saying so? As I said, here in this society, whenever we want to establish a business or upgrade our business, the very first thing we think about is to go to the bank and to apply for a loan, while actually applying for a loan or getting an interest-bearing loan is haram. Well, cannot we activate those different Islamic modes of finance? We can. Some of us think, okay, we need to wait until an Islamic finance system is established and we have like well-established companies, Islamic banking system is there, we can go to the bank. Well, this might happen and this might not happen. Why we wait for something that is probable, right? Why do not we just activate those different Islamic modes of finance from within our community? I'll give you an example. Here is the mudaraba. I think we already talked about it, right? Which is like money from one side and management and operation from the other side. It has a lot of rules, but those are, I would say, the basic rules. Can we when I finish, inshallah, we'll open the floor. Can we activate those different modes of finance? Yes, we can. We can. You can deal with your brothers and sisters in the community, okay, coming up with a mudaraba model or with a musharaka one or with a diminishing musharaka or a murabaha. And if you see here, those are called equity-based mode of finance, which means in a very simple language that whenever you get involved in mudaraba or in musharaka or in diminishing musharaka, you establish an actual, real, long-term partnership between the financier and the other party. Just a very a very quick exit. When it comes to the man-made law, a traditional capitalist economic system, it is actually based on risk shifting model. Risk shifting means that you go to Bank of America, or sometimes they call it Bad of America, right? Bank of America or Chase or Wells Fargo, you apply for a loan. The bank actually gives you the money, and you are fully responsible, okay, for the principal and for the interest. Here is $10,000, okay, you pay us back 3% APR, right? Which means $300 every year. You want to keep the money for 2 years, that's $10,600. 3 years, $10,900. Simple interest, right? In this case, the bank actually is not taking any risk whatsoever other than the risk of default, right? Which is like to take the money and just disappear. Well, this risk actually is a shared one between the traditional finance system and the Islamic one. So it's not to be taken into consideration. Do not tell me that the bank is taking the liability. Well, this is not the liability or the risk that we are talking about, okay? We're talking about the liability of losing the money whenever the money is involved in a business. Back to our discussion. You take $10,000 from Bank of America, okay? You guarantee the principal, you guarantee the profit. The bank does not care about you whatsoever. Profit is yours, and the loss actually is yours. You enjoy the profit, you incur the loss, you break even. They do not care. They give you money, and you pay their money back. As simple as that. It is not the case when it comes to dealing with the genuine and sound, okay? And let me repeat myself: genuine and sound Islamic finance practice. Why I'm saying genuine and sound? Because a lot of companies nowadays, or so-called Islamic finance companies, their practice actually is not an Islamic one. They just manipulate the system and come up with what is so-called murabaha or mudaraba or musharaka or ijara, but the essence and the reality actually is something else. There is no risk whatsoever. There is no liability involved in their business. So if that is proven, those so-called Islamic companies are not Islamic, right? Because what we care about is the essence and the nature of the agreement. You need to show me how much risk you take as a financier in order for you to justify the profit that you're looking for. If the practice is a genuine and a sound Islamic one, okay, you will never find a financier, whether individual or a bank or a mortgage company or finance company, that gives you cash money where the money is guaranteed and the top of it, or the surplus, which is the interest, is guaranteed. You will never find it, right? That is called a risk sharing model. Risk sharing model, you get the $10,000 from the Islamic bank based on mudaraba, right? Of course, I mean, they do their due diligence. They find out, I mean, how qualified you are, your credit scores, your income experience in that particular. I mean, they do a lot of due diligence. Once you are approved that you get those $10,000, they cannot guarantee the money, leave aside to guarantee the profit. If there is a profit, I mean, you share the profit with them. If there is no profit whatsoever, you pay them back the principal toward the end of the fiscal year or the business course. And if there is a loss and it is proven that you did not, there was no shortcoming from your end, from your side, then they cannot even go after you asking you for the money. This is one of the main differences between the Islamic finance and the traditional one. So every single mode of finance here, whether it is an equity-based or even here is a diminishing musharaka. Diminishing musharaka in a very simple language. You want to finance a home, right? And you have only 5% from the total price of the house. You approach that XYZ Islamic mortgage company and you establish a diminishing partnership where they have to purchase the property jointly with you. You have to see their name on the deed of trust, on the title of the house, and they have to take care of their share of the maintenance and the tax and the insurance. If you start that business with them, or that finance, that contracts with them based on 5% your good self, 95% that so-called Islamic mortgage company, they have to take care of 95% of the tax and the maintenance and the insurance. And if there is a growth, right, if there is an appreciation or depreciation, they have to be responsible for 95% of the profit or the loss. Down the road, you want to break the contract. You want just to terminate the contract. Okay, you own 60%, they own 40%, right? Any profit, you are entitled for 60%. Any profit, they will take 40%, and so on and so forth. It's a long-term, actual, real partnership between you and the Islamic mortgage company. Does this happen in the real life nowadays? Unfortunately, no. It does not happen. To be like frank and straightforward, it does not happen. The vast majority of those companies, they find a way or another to put together different تلفيق بين المذاهب, putting together different weak fatawa from different madhab, putting them together, mix them up just to come up with a model that is almost liability free, riskless mode of finance. And they go, oh, this is murabah, oh, this is musharak. Well, it is not. It is not. العبرة في العقود بالمقاصد والمعاني لا بالألفاظ والمباني. What matters in transactions is the essence and the reality, not the wording or the formality. Unfortunately, they just manipulate the system and come up with so-called murabah, while in reality it's none but just an interest-bearing loan, as simple as that. Moving on, we are taking too much time. Murabaha, ijara, istisna, and so on. Okay. When it comes to investing in the stock market, as I promised in the beginning, you need to be careful. You need to be careful. Anything that is not a stock, stay away from it. Just have a peace of mind. Do not tell me CDO or CDS or derivatives or options or futures. I mean, a lot of financial instruments nowadays, it takes us a lot of time even to understand the mechanism. How do those financial instruments make money? How do you make money when you own them? Okay, they are not backed up by any commodity or merchandise or even a service. Just a piece of paper, and you just keep paying for it, like the CDS, for example, or the CDO, right? And you just keep praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that a group of companies make like incur loss. Whenever they lose money, you make money. Whenever they make a profit, you lose. It's just a pure gambling business. And you tell me that this is Islamic finance? Well, this is not. So stay away from options, stay away from derivatives, stay away from futures, stay away from bonds, for example. Bond actually is an interest-bearing loan. When you have a T-bill, right, $5,000, it means that you are lending Uncle Sam, the federal government, $5,000. They keep the money with them 1, 2, 3 years, and they pay you certain amount. That certain amount, if it is called profit or commission or interest, doesn't make any difference. This is the interest that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides. Why? Because the principal is guaranteed and the return, the surplus, the extra is guaranteed. Any business, any enterprise, any partnership, any transaction, if you realize that someone is advancing money to somebody else, and the financier, the money advancing individual, the one who gives the money, is guaranteeing his principal, guaranteeing the return on the principal, or guaranteeing only the principal, even if he does not guarantee the profit, that is actually an interest-bearing loan. Believe it or not, even if it is called otherwise. Moving on, some stocks. Well, even when it comes to stocks, it's not as simple as you might think. It's a very complicated process to pick and choose those Sharia compliant stocks. To make it easy, maybe you can go to a website called Atina, A-A-T-I-N-A-A, atina.co, it's not .com, Atina, A-A, from the word ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة, Atina, A-A-T-I-N-A-A.co. This is actually an Islamic investment company. I'm the Sharia advisor of that company. Those brothers, mashallah, are very conservative when it comes to investing in the stock market. They take like the most conservative standards that have been set by different fiqh councils, and they apply them and even more, right? So if you go to that website, Atina, A-A-T-I-N-A-A.co, and just enter the name or the code of any company that you want, Walmart, Microsoft, Apple, whatever you want, okay? You will see like an instant report showing you whether or not that stock is an Atina compliant, meaning Sharia, but we do not like to use the word Sharia, Atina compliant one or not. And if you click on it, it gives you more details. That's why we are excluding that stock. We do not want to deal with it. Based on what? Based on, I mean, just let's have some education here. Based on what we say that Microsoft is a non-Sharia compliant one, for example, while Apple actually is a Sharia compliant one. It depends on several factors. Number one, the core business of that company, right? Software, hardware. I mean, the core business is a halal one. Well, believe it or not, this is not sufficient. This is not sufficient enough for you to determine that, oh, because the core business of Microsoft is dealing with computers, then this is halal. Well, it's not the case, unfortunately. There is another thing that we need to take into consideration called the debt-asset ratio. Debt-asset ratio or debt-cap ratio, which means that how much cash money, how much duyun, loans they have comparison to the asset that they have. If the market value of the stock that you are dealing with is, let's say, $100, okay, in which 30% of that stock represent cash money, loans have been taken from Wells Fargo or from Bank of America, you cannot trade in that particular stock because you are selling money for money and you're making money from money, which is haram, right? Where did we get the 30% from? This is actually a kind of ijtihad, okay, based on the standards that AYOFI, which is one of the standardization or Islamic organization, actually came up with. In our fiqh council, AMJA, we do not believe that 30% actually is the ceiling. We say look for the minimum debt asset ratio. If you have two different stocks, one of them has 30% debt, and the other one has only 10% debt, right? You cannot deal with the 30% one because the one with 10% is available. فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. Be conscious to Allah as much as you can. So standard number one, the debt asset ratio. Standard number two, the interest-bearing investment. Maybe we do not know. Those big companies, Apple and Microsoft, they have a side business. They have a lot of cash in which they put it in CDs or like, what do you call them, saving accounts, and they make money. If 30% of the business of that company involves in saving accounts, you cannot trade, you cannot trade in that business. It means that their core business is not what you think. There's a significant, percent of their business involves in interest-bearing loans. I mean, they just save their money and they make interest. Now, number three, if the actual generated interest is 5% or more, then you have to stay away from that stock. You see? So again, it's not as simple as we think that, oh, this is a stock like belongs to Walmart, right? Or Apple, right? Or it's halal. No, it's not. You need to dig in depth and find out, what kind of business they do, debt asset ratio, interest-bearing investment, actual generated interest, and then based on that you can pass a judgment. It's a complicated process. I mean, just to make it clear, in Atina, I meet with them four times a year, every 3 months. They have like a database of more than 12,000 financial instruments in the stock market in the United States and even abroad. From those $12,000, we end up having only 800 to 1,000 maximum available halal Sharia compliant ones, and the rest of them actually are excluded. The rest of them are because of one of those reasons. So again, if you want to be like really conservative in your investment, you need to follow one of those like organizations, invest with them, or at least consult with them to make sure that your investment is a halal one. We do have some like options in the market called the socially responsible mutual fund companies. Alhamdulillah, we have more than maybe 10-15 different companies nowadays in the US. We have a Sharia portfolio. We have Zaki Financial, by the way. Zaki Financial is another investment company where I'm the Sharia advisor. Zaki Financial, Z-A-K-I, I think. Z-A-K-I financial.com, right? This is an Islamic investment company. We have Azad Fund, we have Iman Fund, we have Amana Mutual, we have Sharia portfolio, and so on and so forth. Make sure that whenever you decide to invest with any of those companies, that they do have an independent, Sharia advisor and supervisory board, because all of them, okay, claim to be strictly Sharia compliant. We do not know as potential investors how accurate their statement is. Is it true or not? They say, okay, we follow IOFI standards. Do you really apply IOFI standards or not? Okay. Do you have like an independent third party Sharia audit on an annual basis? How can we make sure that your claim is correct? So make sure that you choose the company that does have independent Sharia advisor and supervisory board, and just if you trust those individuals, just go ahead and invest with them. Those are some examples of halal industries. But again, not every single stock belongs to auto parts or automotive or chemicals is halal by default. You need to apply the standards that we already discussed. Investing in 401k, generally speaking, okay, you have 5 different options. Something called the stable value fund. Stable value fund, which is a kind of saving account or CD. This is not an option for you. This is like for people who want to have a peace of mind. They do not want to take any risk whatsoever. They are happy with 2 or 3% profit every year, which is of course haram, because the only thing they do is just save, like opening saving account and get like a peace of mind and having like a very minimal profit, which is riba, which is haram. So stable value fund saving account is not an option. Balanced fund, 50% stocks, 50% bonds and derivatives and options and futures is not an option. You need to limit yourself to option number 3, 4, and 5. And as you see, the common, what is common between them is that all of them are stock based. All of them are stock based. So exclusive stock fund, like when you 401k is exclusively the stocks of the company that you work for. Sometimes they give you like a kind of incentive, right? If the stock of Shell, for example, is sold for $100, you can buy it for only $20, right? Only because you work for them. So you can go with this option, exclusive stock fund, or international stock fund, or employee stock ownership plan. That's the one where you just limit yourself to the stocks of the company that you work for. Now, when it comes to, like, to extend our discussion, when it comes to anything else other than your 401k, and by the way, when it comes to a pension plan, it's harder to get involved and to make a decision, because pension plan means that you work for the federal government or the state or the county. Usually, they do not even give you the option of choosing a portfolio, to my knowledge. If that is proven, just keep it as is. Keep it as is. Again, by any chance, by any way, if you can track what kind of portfolio you have, how much haram involved in it, just have in mind that I have 15 or 20% haram. Dispose 20% of the profit, okay, or the growth of that account on an annual basis. Pay zakah on the rest, and you're good to go. Anything else that is not employer-based investment account, like IRA, individual retirement account, like simple investment account, like brokerage account. If you have an account with TD Ameritrade, for example, and you run it by yourself, 529 for the education of your kids, any kind of investment in the stock market. Most probably, You are the decision maker. You can be as conservative as you want. If that is proven, then yes, you have to make sure that you invest in a halal way. So it's now almost 9:20. Let me just present for another maybe 10-15 minutes, and inshallah we'll open the floor for question and answer after Isha, right? And alhamdulillah, I get my dinner, I get my coffee, so I'm up and awake maybe until Fajr. Salamun hiya hatta matla al-Fajr. As long as you can stay in the masjid, I'm good inshallah. So maybe after Isha inshallah we can open the floor for question. I know that you have a lot of questions regarding what I presented already. Student loans, we discussed this issue in our fiqh council. You can go to well, if you want to read like the whole declaration, go to Google and just search AMJA, AMJA, capital letters, AMJA stands for the Assembly of Muslim Jurists of America, right? AMJA, student loans, and just read the whole declaration. We said in our declaration that first of all we need to train and educate our kids, our students, to be active enough in searching for halal by default funding opportunities. Believe it or not, there are a lot of money, millions of dollars are returned to the federal government unclaimed every single year, because our students, are lazy enough. They are not willing to just sit and just look for different grants and different financial aid and scholarship opportunities. So this is something halal by default. Okay, before you even think about borrowing money, you go ahead and look for different halal by default funding opportunities. Again, grants, financial aids, scholarships. We have a lot. Some of them are based on are granted for minorities, for athletes, for what else? Based on disability. A lot of options are there. You need to focus, sit down and search, and you will find a lot of funding opportunities. If those halal by default funding opportunities are not available, or they are available but they are insufficient, and someone actually finds himself in need for a loan, right? Either to borrow money, to pursue your degree, or otherwise you have to drop the college. Then you can go with the subsidized loan. Subsidized loan is a loan that is interest-free for a certain period of time. Interest-free for a certain period of time, granted based on financial need, only for undergrad students to my knowledge. So you have to be undergrad, right? And you have to be financially in need. You can apply for it. If you are approved, you will be getting interest-free loan for during your study for the 4 years. And even after you graduate, you still have between 6 sometimes to 9 months grace period, they call it, which means that if you successfully pay off the loan in full, then there will be no consequences and no interest accumulated, right? The majority of our students are unable to pay off the principal in full upon their graduation. It's not that easy. Like when you borrow $40,000, $50,000, how can you just pay them off within 6 months? So they end up actually paying interest. Okay, the loan actually goes that if you default in paying in full within the grace period, then they start calculating interest from the very first date in which the first amount was granted. So you end up actually having an interest-bearing loan. Our fatwa in AMJA that if those halal by default funding opportunities are not available, then you can go with the subsidized loan. Subsidized means mad'um min ad-dawla, right? So there are some interest involved, but actually the government who is giving the money is the one who is paying the interest. We do not have any ishkal or problem with this one. Problem here is with the unsubsidized one. Unsubsidized one actually is an interest-bearing loan from day one. What if, just imagine, what if that someone is unable, like a graduate student who cannot apply for subsidized loan, right? And he reached to a point where either he borrows money with interest from day one, unsubsidized loan, or otherwise like dropping the college and just working somewhere else. can he or she apply for a loan based on our interpretation of الضرورة ما يلحق المكلف ضرر بتركه ولا يقوم غيره مقامه. Necessity actually is a unique irreplaceable matter, in which lacking it causes harm to the Muslim. We do believe that borrowing money with interest for education purposes is permissible as an exception, not as a default rule. Riba is haram, borrowing money is haram, but when it comes to this very particular scenario that you have like either to borrow money with interest or to drop the college. Can you borrow with interest? Yes, you can. Okay, and we cannot apply this rule for mortgaging a house, for example. Why? What's the difference? When it comes to mortgaging a house, the alternative is there. You can rent a house. You want a place to live in, right? If you are unable to purchase a house, you can at least rent a house. But if you do not borrow money, then there is no other option other than just to quit the college. So this is actually like a very unique circumstances where borrowing money with interest is permissible. Again, this is not my personal opinion. This is the official position of AMJA. Personally, I might not allow my kids to borrow money. I do have college students, graduate students. I might not allow them to borrow money with interest, maybe, right? But this is my personal choice. Okay, I cannot say, well, it's haram because I do not allow. No, this is incorrect. Okay, borrowing money with interest for education purposes, if this is the only resource, the only source for certain students, is permissible as a kind of exception according to the official position of AMJA. Life insurance actually is another debatable issue. And to keep it simple, we all are aware of the mainstream fatwa, right? Mainstream fatwa. The fatwa of the vast majority of contemporary scholars that any kind of life insurance is not halal by default, right? Any kind of commercial insurance is not halal. Any kind of government-based. In the United States here, when we say government-based, we mean Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, right? The mainstream fatwa goes that anything that is subsidized or sponsored by the government, okay, that is offered for the best interest of the community is halal. Anything else actually is haram. Even within the mainstream fatwa, our scholars say that if there is a need for it, a desperate need and sometimes a necessity, well, without necessity, even just like a need for it, right? For example, you have to have a liability insurance to drive your car. By the law of the land, you cannot drive your car without having insurance, right? You can take it. They said that if there is a need for you to have a house insurance, okay, or a business insurance, as long as the need is proven, you can exempt yourself, okay, take it easy and just, take whatever insurance you need. This is the mainstream fatwa. And actually, I was following the mainstream fatwa maybe until 2015 or 2016. Then after that, actually, I started rethinking more about the concept of insurance. And I went back to the book of Sheikh Mustafa Al-Zarqa, rahmatullah alayh. Sheikh Mustafa Al-Zarqa actually is one of the pioneer scholars who used to believe, rahmatullah alayh, he passed away 30 plus years ago, used to believe that insurance as a concept actually is halal. And he made actually a very good argument that I want to share with you. He said, the meaning of the argument. He said that when you have an account, okay, when you have an account with the Social Security in the USA, I'm just giving you the meaning of his argument. What does it mean? It means that the Social Security Administration, right, is telling you, give me $150 every month, and if something happened to you, if you pass away or if you get like, la samahallah, handicap, right, do not worry, I will take care of your kids. I will take care of your spouse and your kids. So you pay me $150, and based on the contract between you and I will be paying your kids such and such amount until they turn 18, and then this amount until they turn 24, and then as far as your wife is concerned, we will be paying her this particular amount all the way until she passes away, right? He said, if you go to a life insurance company, okay, what kind of contract you have with them? They tell you the same, right? Give me $150 every month, and just have a peace of mind. Do not worry. Rest in peace. If you pass away, Allah yarhamak, ma'a salama, we will take care of your family members. But instead of paying your family members on a monthly basis, we're going to issue them like a one wet check of maybe $1 million. And then here is the question: what is the difference between the approach of the Social Security administration and the approach of the life insurance company? Okay, the Social Security is telling you, give me money, okay, based on certain contract, well-defined contract. Give me this amount, and I will keep paying your kids and your wife this amount. Life insurance company is telling you the same. Give me $150 every month, and if you pass away or if you become like paralyzed or handicapped, I will pay your family members this amount. According to his analysis, both of them are called عقود معاوضات, bilateral agreements, which means that there is no like sadaqah or donation or benevolence here. No one actually is doing you a favor, right? What if someone in the US here does not have Social Security account because whatever reason? It did actually happen with me a while ago when I came to the US back in 2000. I was on R1 visa, like religious man. Based on this visa, you are exempted from Social Security. And I have decided not to have Social Security. So, I mean, it does happen. It does happen. What will happen if you do not have a Social Security account and la samahullah you passed away? Do you think that the Social Security Administration will sympathize with your family members because like you were like a good man and serving the community and you deserve kul khair? That's why they're going to pay your family members money after your death? It will never happen. Why? Because there was no contract between you and the Social Security. So my point here is that it's all about the contract, the agreement that you have. This is a bilateral agreement, not unilateral agreement, bilateral agreement, and this is a bilateral agreement, right? If we believe that Social Security agreement or whatever you pay to the Medicare or to the Medicaid, which is the same concept almost, right? But instead of giving you cash money, they pay the medical bills on your behalf. But the outcome result at the end of the day is the same. Someone actually is taking care of your expenses, right? It's the same concept. If we believe that this is a bilateral agreement, okay, not a unilateral, bilateral agreement, like two-sided commitment. You pay money, you get paid upon your death. If you do not pay money, you are out, right? This is the meaning of the agreement that you have with the Social Security, with the Medicare, and with the Medicaid. It's the same concept when it comes to life insurance or any kind of commercial, whether it is a business or individual or house insurance or whatever insurance or even liability or full coverage. So based on this argument, actually, he concluded that insurance as a concept is a halal by default. It's a contemporary, like a brand new contract. It's not a sale. It's not ijara. It's not a loan. It's just a brand new agreement that people came up with for the best interest of the community. And he said that insurance as a concept is a Sharia compliant one. It keeps the financial damage and the risk on individuals to the minimum, because insurance means that we all here in the masjid pitch in and contribute certain amount of money with a clear-cut agreement. If you get involved, la samahullah, car accident, okay, and you lose your job, we'll give you for up to 6 months such and such amount. If you get involved in car accident, if I get, it's the same, right? So it is an agreement, like a mutual agreement between a group of people to keep the financial damage and the financial risk on individuals to the minimum. Something else before we just break for the salah. That's something maybe like I don't want to say it is an isolated or weird opinion. It is actually it is a different opinion, and the number of scholars who are changing their mind, they're switching from saying that insurance is haram to insurance is halal is increasing tremendously. So when I'm here today telling you that I do believe that insurance is a halal by default, whether it is life insurance or commercial insurance or government-based or mutual insurance, it doesn't make any difference whatsoever. Of course, there are certain options are not halal, right? But I'm talking in general. When I say that I do believe, which is the case actually, that insurance and life insurance in particular is halal, I'm not like bringing a brand new opinion. This is actually an opinion that has been crystallized, and again, the number of people of knowledge who are changing their mind actually is increasing rapidly. Sheikh Abdullah ibn Mni' عضو هيئة كبار العلماء في السعودية, member of the senior scholars council in Saudi Arabia, changed his mind I think maybe 10 years ago. He now believes that insurance is halal. I do believe that insurance is halal. I do have my own life insurance policy, and I think that I have done the right decision. Wallahu alam. You don't have to agree with me, but at least I mean you get to know that alhamdulillah we do have a kind of flexibility or like difference in opinion regarding life insurance. Let me just break for Salatul Isha. It's 9:33, and I promise after Salatul Isha inshallah we'll stay together. Okay, we'll address inshallah all the concerns and the questions that you have. If I do have knowledge, I will answer. If I do not, I will say لا أدري. Right? جزاكم الله خير. See you inshallah after Isha. Barakallah.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
مش محتاج. استحضروا عظمة الله في قلوبكم وصلوا صلاة مودعة. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. والنازعات غرقا والناشطات نشطا والسابحات سبحا فالسابقات سبقا فالمدبرات أمرا يوم ترجف الرادفة تتبعها الرادفة قلوب يومئذ وادفة أبصارها خاشعة يقولون أئنا لمردودون في الحافرة أئذا كنا عظاما نخرة قالوا تلك إذا كرة خاسرة فإنما هي زجرة واحدة فإذا هم بالساهرة. هل أتاك حديث موسى إذ ناداه ربه بالوادي المقدس طوى اذهب إلى فرعون إنه طغى فقل هل لك إلى أن تزكى وأهديك إلى ربك فتخشى فأراه الآية الكبرى فكذب وعصى ثم أدبر يسعى فحشر فنادى فقال أنا ربكم الأعلى فأخذه الله نكال الآخرة والأولى إن في ذلك لعبرة لمن يخشى. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم. سبحان ربي العظيم. سبحان ربي العظيم. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
أأنتم أشد خلقا أم السماء بناها رفع سمكها فسواها وأغطش ليلها وأخرج ضحاها والأرض بعد ذلك دحاها أخرج منها ماءها ومرعاها والجبال أرساها متاعا لكم ولأنعامكم فإذا جاءت الطامة الكبرى يوم يتذكر الإنسان ما سعى وبرزت الجحيم لمن يرى فأما من طغى وآثر الحياة الدنيا فإن الجحيم هي المأوى وأما من خاف مقام ربه ونهى النفس عن الهوى فإن الجنة هي المأوى يسألونك عن الساعة أيان مرساها فيما أنت من ذكراها إلى ربك منتهاها إنما أنت منذر من يخشاها كأنهم يوم يرونها لم يلبثوا إلا عشية أو ضحاها الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده طيبا طاهرا الله أكبر سبحان ربنا سبحان ربنا الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر تحية لله والصلاة والطيبة ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى النبي الصالحين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله الله أكبر الحمد لله إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين الله أكبر سبحان ربي العظيم سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر
الله أكبر.
تحيات لله والصلاة والطيبات. السلام عليك السلام عليك. الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. صل على محمد وعلى آله وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد صلى كثيرا له.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
يا رب. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. ثم أما بعد. As promised, we'll open the floor inshallah for a question and answer. But before that, let me just remind you that today was the Khatib, the Friday speaker in this masjid, and I introduced to the community Guidance College as one of the Islamic universities who are striving to spread authentic and relevant Islamic knowledge. And I said that, alhamdulillah, we have a lot of converts who are joining the school, believing that this is the right place for them to pursue degrees in Islamic studies. We have been operating for the last 10 years. We are pursuing accreditation diligently in the USA. Am I saying anything wrong here? No? We are not accredited yet, but inshallah we'll make it happen one day. Yeah, I think that's the reason. Is it off? طيب, Jazakallah. Recently, 3 years ago, we purchased 18 acres in Katy, Houston, Texas. Owner finance, of course, interest-free. And we are about to start the construction of building a brand new masjid in an area that's still under development. So the Muslim community actually is like joining the community at large and purchasing homes. So inshallah, after maybe 1 or 2 years, whenever they start looking for a masjid, they will hear the muadhin saying, Hayya ala salah, hayya al falah. فإحنا alhamdulillah, we are ahead of the community. The plan actually is to have the first floor as a masjid, and the second floor, inshallah, will be the main office of Guidance College. So far, we operate purely online. Guidance College is an evening and weekend university. We do not hold the classes Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. Purposely, we want to make sure that students can join different colleges and have their own jobs during the day, and in the evening from the convenience of their homes they can just log in and take classes online. We do have bachelor's degree in Islamic studies, master's in Islamic economics and finance. What I presented tonight is just an appetizer of what we offer in this program, and master's in Islamic education. I would love to see as many brothers and sisters, inshallah, from this community joining Guidance College, either for degree purposes or for non-degree, being non-degree students, or at least maybe you can just an audit or a listener who is like willing to take some classes to educate him or herself. We have sisters listening in certain areas in Islamic studies. Guidance College is a 501c non-for-profit organization, so your donation is tax deductible. Guidance College is an eligible zakah recipient. Those brothers and sisters like new converts getting their financial aid and scholarship from within the school. We call it in-house financial aid and scholarship because they are not accredited yet. Thus, we deserve your financial support and your zakah. The masjid actually does not allow making like an official fundraising after Jum'ah. That's why the outcome result actually was like very, very humble, except for one brother, mashallah, who donated 5,000, brother Zishan, Jazallah khairan kathiran. He made it, alhamdulillah, and donated for the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. this amount. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from him. I would just open the floor for you to match his donation and to give us, the necessary support, because without your support and donation, we cannot move on with that noble mission. So do you think anyone, can match Brother Zishan and make it maybe 5,000, either for the masjid, the construction if you want. And by the way, if you decide to make your donation online, you go to guidancecollege.org and make your donation. For the financial aid and scholarship, you just go to support. For the masjid construction and the main office of Guidance College, you go to the Huda Islamic Center, which is our sister organization that work together, inshallah, to build the masjid. I'm not a professional fundraiser. I don't know how to shout and scream and takbir. I'm not that person, honestly. I'm just a professor. I'm an educator. So anyone who can, match Zishan with 5,000, you think, from your zakah, from your sadaqah, from your donation, willing, inshallah, to help us, offering more financial aid and scholarship for our students, or wants to help us building a masjid. Do you think 2,500 is a doable amount? $2,500. Anyone is willing, inshallah, to make it happen? Anyone, inshallah, who's willing to make it happen? Let me go with the easy option. How about 1,000, the standard one, right? I do believe that, inshallah, we can see some hands with $1,000. We have a credit card machine if you want to make your donation on the credit card machine. This is actually a one-time payment. If you want to make a recurrent payment, you either go to our website. It does actually give you two options: one-time payment versus recurrent payment, or you can maybe have a pledge form and fill out the form and just check how much you want to donate and how many months. Can I see a few hands with 1,000 only, inshallah? Anyone who is willing, inshallah, to make it happen? Anyone who is willing, inshallah, to make it happen? 1,000 for the financial aid or scholarship or for the construction of the new masjid. Do you think that we can get more support, inshallah, for this noble cause? If you want to be like a part, Jazakallah khair, akhi. طيب, Jazakallah khair, Barakallah fiqh. So Mr. Anonymous is another 1,000. Barakallah fiqh. طيب. Any match, any hands? 1,000. You can just break it down maybe to $50 a month or 100. I mean, whatever is convenient for you. Let's show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more support for those, alhamdulillah, very promising causes, very noble causes. We want to spread authentic and relevant Islamic knowledge and produce mashayikh and scholars and people of knowledge, males and females, from within the community, like organic, as I say, organic, indigenous people of knowledge who speak English as their first language, or at least bilingual, unlike me with a heavy accent. Those people actually who can, inshallah, bring a lot of benefit to the community at large, because that is their society, that's their language, that's their culture. So whenever they get educated in Islam, they can do a better job than someone like me who just came from overseas a few years ago. Can we see more support, inshallah? 1,000. Anyone, inshallah, who's willing to make it happen? Jazakallah khairan kathiran akhi. Barakallahu lak fi ahlika wa fi malik. Any match? Any 1,000? How about 500? 500. Can we make it happen? 500. Anyone? Jazakallah khair akhi. Barakallah fik. Jazakallah khair akhi. Barakallah fik. May Allah accept. May Allah bless you in health and wealth. Allahumma ameen. Are you relatives? You and him? Are you relatives? Family friend? MashaAllah. You look alike, by the way. MashaAllah. Any match? Any other 500? Before I open the floor, inshallah. Here is the donation box. Please make sure that you donate as much as you can. Just empty your pocket, whatever you have, cash, money, debit card, credit card, even food stamps, whatever you have. Right? Just put it in the donation box. Here is the credit card machine, and here is a pledge form if you want to fill it out. It's a business reply mail, so you can just detach it, fill out the information, put a check or cash or credit card information, send it by mail, okay? A business reply mail, inshallah. We will be receiving it, or just go online and make your donation. Jazakumullah khairan. Barakallahu lakum fima anfaqtum wa baraka lakum fima abqaytum. May Allah bless whatever you paid for His cause. May Allah bless whatever you kept for yourself. The floor is yours. تفضل. زين. نعم تفضل.
يعني the other opinions they say إن في غرر في life insurance.
نعم.
That's why الحرمة جت هنا من الغرر. Some people they pay all the payment and they got no benefit. And one person can pay 1 month or 1 year and pass away and they got the whole benefit.
No.
How you answer them if they got
No. Al-gharar actually is the ambiguity or the uncertainty. I mean, this is actually one of the main concerns that the mainstream fatwa is like, using nowadays to prohibit insurance, which is the nature of al-gharar, the ambiguity. They say that, as the Sheikh said, that you keep paying money without being assured that you will be getting something in return. That is correct if we agree that there is no return. But respectfully, actually, I disagree. The return actually is the peace of mind, is the social security, is the assurance that in case something happened to me, I will not be worried about the financial status of myself and my family members. Someone actually will pay on my behalf, or someone will be paying on my behalf, or someone will take care actually of my financial need. There is something similar to it, which is the lifeguardship business. Lifeguardship business means that you, as a VIP, as a high caliber individual, like a politician or whatever, you hire someone as your bodyguard, right? That person might do nothing throughout the whole month long other than just drinking coffee and smoking, right? But he gives you a promise, a commitment, that if someone approaches you, wants to harm you, do not worry, I will defend you, right? I will just put him down and defend you. Because of the commitment that he makes to provide you safety and security, he or she deserves the money that you give him toward the end of the month. Using the same analogy, the insurance company, whether a government or a private, mutual, stock-based, whatever, is giving you a promise, okay, that during this period of time, from now until the age of 80 years old, if you pass away, do not worry, I will commit to paying actually your family members that certain amount of money. So based on that, maybe we disagreed, regarding the existence of al-gharar. And by the way, if you remember Sheikh Hamdi, in the 80s and the 90s of the last century, the main reason behind the prohibition at that time was the riba issue. And then the different fiqh councils found out that, hold on, there is no riba involved here. Riba different. Riba actually is involved in a sale agreement or in a loan agreement, right? So they said, no, there is no riba, but there is a gharar, right? And the good news here is that, according to the principles of Islamic finance, الربا لا يباح إلا للضرورة. Riba cannot be permitted unless there is a necessity. Al-gharar yubahu lil-haja. Ambiguity, uncertainty could be overlooked or permitted in case of public and general need. And there is a public and general need for insurance. So if you read the most contemporary fatawa of Ayofi, for example, or different, even the fiqh council of the Muslim World League and other fiqh councils, they started changing even the language that they use, right? That the main issue or the main defect or deficiency in that contract is the gharar issue. So as long as there is a need for it, you can go ahead and just purchase whatever insurance that you need. They are still more conservative when it comes to life insurance, believing that the semi-riba nature is there because you pay less and you receive more. You pay $150 maybe a month, and upon your death or la samhallah disability or whatever, you will be receiving a big amount of money. Well, I disagree. There is no gharar, because actually what I'm purchasing is the peace of mind. As I said in my presentation, I do have a life insurance, and alhamdulillah I have a peace of mind. Yes, we all depend on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we all believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but a part of our belief is that we take all the possible measures to provide financial stability for ourselves and for our family members. Wallahu a'lam. Now,
question regarding long-term investments and liquid investments in zakat. For example, if you invest in a private equity, you cannot pull that investment for 4 years, let's say. Do you pay zakat on that?
it depends on the nature of the investment. When you say equity, what do you mean by equity? Rental property or just for sale properties?
There are private, for example, you invest in a company, but as one of the terms for investment is that you cannot withdraw the cash for 4 years. If you do, you incur a penalty, so it's illiquid.
RSUs is restricted.
No, that's actually different. But the yeah, no, that's maybe another example.
Yeah.
There's private market like stock market, and there's also public market like stock market, and there's also private equity market. There's some brokers that deal in that. You invest directly in a company, and you own some shares in that company, but the terms are more strict. It's less liquid. You cannot trade it.
Well, yeah. When you hold the stocks or shares, it means that you are one of the owners of that particular company. Is that correct? Now, it depends on the nature of the business of that company. Let's say, for example, this is a trading company. It means that your money actually is under investment, and someone is taking care of your money. Someone is investing in your behalf. Okay, that's very, very similar to the case when you have like a mutual fund account. Mutual fund account means that you have a portfolio, certain amount of stocks, right, belong to different industries, and someone in the stock market is investing that money on your behalf. Maybe you cannot, like, withdraw the money, especially if it is a pension plan or 401k, without paying penalty. But this actually does not negate the other fact that your money is under investment. And this is actually a kind of tijara, it's a kind of business. So this does not actually excuse or exempt that kind of business from paying zakat al-mal. Again, it depends on the nature of the investment. Okay, I will give you two different scenarios. Some people have investment in the stock market, regardless of like what platform they have. If that individual is an inactive in the market, which means that he's just happy with the dividend that he or she makes from those stocks, right? He is not active in the market in a sense that he is not buying and selling and trading and speculating in the market. He's just happy with whatever dividend that he makes. In this case, he has to pay zakah on the dividend only, because those stocks are not urud tijara, they are not for sale. If that individual changes his mind or changed his mind and started actively trading in the market, buying and selling actively, right? Then he has to pay zakah on the surface value or the market value of the stocks and their dividend as well. Same individual, same stocks, two different ruling based on the practice. If you are inactive, right, long-term investment, that is very equivalent, very similar to having a rental property. Okay, you have a rental house. The house itself is not for sale. Do you have to pay zakah on it? You don't have to. You pay zakah on the lease revenue, on the money that you make out of renting that house, right? If you change your mind and you put that house in the market for sale, see what I'm saying? Then you have to start paying zakah on its market value, even if it is not sold. Why? Because in this case, that house, became urud tijar. It's just a commodity in the market. So again, it depends on the nature of the investment. What do you do exactly? What do you have in mind? What do you practice? Based on those two different factors, we can determine whether or not that particular investment is zakatable or not. Clear?
The second one is clear. The first one, when it comes to, you give an example of mutual funds, let's say, or let's say one of those funds that you recommended, the Sharia one or the
right.
Are those actively traded? Do you pay zakat on it, or if it's a portfolio of companies that are compliant, let's say?
If it is a mutual fund, if it is an IRA, and someone actually is running the portfolio on your behalf, it is an active one. But the difference is that instead of you taking care of the business, somebody else is taking care of your business or investing in your behalf if you wish. And zakah wise, doesn't make any difference whether you invest, or somebody else is doing the job on your behalf. At the end of the day, you are making money. And that's why, by the way, you have to pay zakah on your 401k, not the full amount, the withdrawable amount. Because again, 401k means investment. I mean, this is the big chunk of money that you have, right? I mean, you do not pay zakah on the salary because you make 7,000, you spend them every month. So you just break even, you live like check by check. But the big chunk of investment that you have is the 401k. You need to find out how much is the withdrawable amount, accessible amount, right? And then you deduct the penalty and the whatever prescribed penalty or tax or processing fees or whatever, and then the rest, the net amount is a zakatable one. I mean, this is wallah the most fair and the most reasonable approach regarding the zakah on 401k. And you can apply the same rule, in any kind of investment, whatever accessible Whatever accessible is zakatable, as simple as that.
How about funds that track, let's say, technology? That they're not actively traded, but they invest in 100 technology companies and it's static. Nobody's trading, nobody's managing it actively. It's just it's exchange traded fund like ETF, let's say. Is that would you consider that?
Well, ETF actually is a kind of investment, but the only difference is that like there is no human touch, there is no human involved in it. It's just an like algorithm, right? Like a certain formula that's working automatically. I mean, they exclude that formula, excludes certain stocks and includes certain stocks. But at the end of the day, this is a kind of investment. So whether it is ETF, I think, right? ETF or like mutual fund, again, doesn't make any difference zakah-wise. Yeah, it is active in the market. Someone or something actually is investing that money or that stocks on your behalf. You have to pay zakah. No.
I can have 2 cents to the ETF, just based off my little knowledge I have. The ETFs is nothing but a combination of stocks, right? So it's not, someone's not investing, it's just a type of stock. Like ETF is generally a combination of stocks. Instead of buying one stock like Apple, ETF could be, I can make an ETF like Apple, Google, like FANG stocks. Have you heard of FANG stocks? Yeah. I can tomorrow go there and register an ETF which has 5 stocks. So it's nothing. It's not. No one is investing. It's just a type of stocks grouped together into an ETF so that you can invest in a certain group or sector, and it makes it easier for investing. So when you go and buy, you don't have to buy Google separately. You don't have to buy Apple separately. You don't have to buy Facebook separately. You can just buy one thing at a time.
So the criteria there is that you're not trading. Just if you buy it and you hold it long term.
Well, to my understanding, the ETF actually means an automatic investment in the stock market without having any human involvement. Just like, as I said, the formula or algorithm, like a certain formula or muadil that they put, okay, or standards or criteria, whatever you want to call it, to exclude some stocks and to include some stocks. But at the end of the day, are you making money out of having ETF? My understanding is yes. If you say no, that's different. That's something like new for me. So what kind of investment you have, like when you have ETF?
So ETF is just like buying a stock. Just name it any. I can name ETF, ICH ETF. We all decide. We say, okay, we love Nestle, water, Nestle company, a couple of other companies, and then we make an ETF. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a name.
So how do you make money out of that
just
ETF?
Like any stock, you buy and sell it. That's it. You can buy and hold it for 20 years.
طيب, let me keep it simple. If it is invested actively in the market, whether by yourself or somebody is doing it on your behalf, or it is automatically done electronically, right? Done, then you have to pay zakah. If it is not, then I mean you just find out how much growth, okay, that fund is experiencing, or how much dividend you make, and you just pay zakah on the dividend only if there is a dividend. If there's no dividend, then it's just a long-term investment. That's not zakatable. Exactly like if you have a piece of land you purchased maybe 10-15 years ago as a long-term investment. As long as it is not active in the market for sale, you don't have to pay zakah on it. Once you change your mind and put it in the market, then you have to pay zakah on it based on its market value.
Can I ask a question real quick?
No, totally.
So Sheikh, just piggybacking on brother's question. What if I'm reinvesting that? So I'm trading, not long-term investing. But whatever I earn, like the capital gains profit, what if I'm reinvesting it again into a new trade and again into new trade? So I'm not holding the cash or the profit for 1 year.
Yeah, it doesn't make a difference. Like capitalizing the like putting it back to the account and like purchasing more stocks, right?
More stocks and then selling it again. So at one point, I don't hold that profit for me for 1 year.
Yeah, you do not.
It's not
Yeah.
saving. It's actually actively invested in a business.
Well, based on what I explained, I mean, since this is an active investment in the market, then you have to pay zakah on everything, like the market value of the stocks and the dividend that has been generated. Whether you like put it back in the account or you withdraw it, it's the same.
I get it, but what price should I pay on? Because I'm actively trading.
The market value. What if you decide on the zakah, like in the month of Ramadan, for example, for your zakah? If you decide to sell all that portfolio or that combination that you have, how much you are asking for? That is actually the actual market value of the stock.
But let's say I'm not buying buying and selling the same stock. Let's say I bought Apple last year, and by the time I reach Ramadan, I have not bought Apple again. I bought Google and then sold it, then I bought Yahoo, then I sold it, then I bought Nestle, then I sold it. But I made money on all of them. Let's say I made money on all of them every month, around like, let's say $1,000 every month. So after 12 months, $12,000. Should I pay zakat on 12, the total profit that I made after 1 year?
Well, if you still have that money, if the money is not spent, then it is zakatable. If you generated some profit or dividend and you spend that money, then I mean there is no money to worry about. And that's why we always say that zakah is based on is to be paid on the remaining income or remaining profit, not the total. This is one of the fundamental differences in the accounting of the zakah. Like for example, if you file for your tax, you start the math with the total income that you have made in 2021, right? Okay, when you file for the IRS, like income tax. When it comes to zakah, we do not care about how much you made in 2021. What we care about, what you start the math with, is how much is remaining from the total that you have made. This is like one of the fundamental differences on how to calculate zakah versus calculating tax. تفضل.
Just wanted to confirm what I just so to clarify. So if I'm holding the stock for a long term, I have no intention of selling, I still have to pay the zakat on the value of the stock?
No, on the dividend only. On the profit or the dividend. But the stock itself actually is not zakat, because it's not urud tijara, it's not for sale. Okay, always remember rental property. That's exactly the same case. Rental property, you have a house that's worth $1 million, right? But the house itself is not for sale. Okay, and zakah actually is mandated on urud tijara. It's not urud tijara. Okay, this is like a different category called zakatul mustaghallat. Sometimes they call it exploited assets, which is like rental property. Or for example, someone has a taxi cab, right? Even if the car worth $100,000, he doesn't have to pay zakah on it, right? He pays zakah on the money that he generates. Same for the one who has maybe a laboratory service. Whatever service you provide and you make money, you pay zakah on the money that you generated, not on the market value of the business itself. No.
So I understand two things. A day trader, because his business is buying and selling stocks on a consistent, almost daily basis, all of his stocks are considered his inventory. So he pays zakah on the entire value. But if he's a long-term investor, then he just pays zakah on the profit, on the yearly profit and dividends.
Long-term investor in a sense that he does not, or he is not actively trading in the market, right? He doesn't have to pay zakah on the value of the stocks. The zakatable portion is the dividend or the profit that he makes. Yeah.
So like from last year?
No. Whatever you have in the zakat due date, remember? The remaining income, the remaining profit. Let's say, for example, that you, just to keep it simple, you make $1,000 dividend every month. And that 1,000 is spent on monthly basis. In the month of Ramadan, from those $12,000, you have $0. Every single 1,000 you receive it, you just spend it on the spot or within 1 month. So you ended up having zero saving from that dividend. Well, there is no money to worry about. Thus, there is no zakat. No.
Most stocks don't have dividends. So assuming there's no dividend.
Only growth.
Yeah.
If there is no dividend and you are inactive in the market, this is a long-term investment. Like the piece of land that you purchased 10, 15 years ago for long-term investment purposes, it is not zakatable according to the Maliki method, which is like the most reasonable one. Because Imam Malik rahmatullah alayhi radiyallahu anh differentiates between التاجر المحتكر وتاجر المدير. تاجر المدير is the active trader, the one who like buys and sells actively. التاجر المحتكر is the one who buys property and just put it in hold until the price goes up in a positive way, like without manipulating, without monopolizing, right? But he's not active in the market. He said that تاجر المحتكر لا زكاة عليه. Whenever you put it in the market for sale, right? You offer it for your customers, then you pay zakah. As long as it is held back, it's not for sale, then it is not zakah. So you can apply the same concept when it comes to long-term investment.
So in 401k then, wouldn't that be considered a long-term and you're not?
No, because basically it is not withdrawable. 401k retirement account has different nature. It It is an active investment in the market, but it's not withdrawable 100%. You have a lot of restrictions, right? If you decide to withdraw, then you have to pay penalty and tax and and so on and so forth. So it has to be treated like different from any other kind. If you have an IRA, oh, that's decatable in full. IRA is just withdrawable in full, accessible in full. 529, right? AGMA account, like for the minors, for the minor kids, accessible in full, right? Brokerage account, accessible in full. Anything that is outside, anything that's not employer-based investment, that's individual-based investment, is zakatable in full. Not in full 100%. You do the math. I mean, how much penalty and tax and whatever like expenses you have to pay, like to get the money. You do the math, and the rest actually the net amount is the zakatable.
Even though the 401k is the same example as a long-term investment where you set it and forget it.
Not really. It is a very restricted kind of investment. Remember, Akhi, one of the conditions for the zakatability of any money or any investment is al-mulku tam raqabatan wa yadan, full ownership and full access. Yes, you do have full ownership, but you do not have full access. So it has like a different rule. Let me take the sister's question. Why Amja picked guidance residential #1 option for home financing, then on the second guidance representative, I don't know what you mean. Based on our analysis, I mean, guidance residential is more Sharia compliant than other Islamic mortgage companies in the US. We did not approve it unconditionally. We do have a lot of observations on their contract, but overall speaking, if you compare guidance with other Islamic mortgage companies, they are in a better position Sharia compliance was. But however, they do have some glitches in their contract. There's nothing called 100% Sharia compliant financing in the US. I mean, that does not exist. Okay, you have here in California Amin Housing. Amin Housing actually does not deal in the secondary market.
Yeah, I was going to add this once. AMJA is the organization that reviews all the contracts of the Islamic financing companies existing in the country.
We did study them. We did read them in full, and we have met actually with the people in charge and with the religious authority of those different companies. And based on our analysis, we might be right, we might be wrong. Allahu Akbar.
I was just saying that they released their research and their paper.
Yes.
On which one they think is #1. So as per the sister, the information is not accurate. The guidance is not the #1. Amin Housing is the most Sharia compliant as per.
That's correct. Yeah. When it comes to the major Islamic mortgage companies, namely Guidance Residential, University Islamic Financial, Devon Bank, UIF, Devon Bank, Ijara Loan, and La Riba, based on our analysis, based on our declaration, actually guidance is the best one. The Amin Housing actually is the only one that does not deal in the secondary market. So they have a lot of independence and strength because they set their own contract. They do not have to sell their contract to Freddie Mac and Freddie Mae. That's why they are like way more Sharia compliant than Guidance Residential. However, their capacity is very limited, right? They operate based on membership, and they serve the community only in California, and you have to line up, wait maybe for a few years until you get your Islamic loan or you get your musharaka contract. But actually, it is definitely, as the brother said, it is definitely better than Guidance Residential. نعم. طيب. شيخ تفضل. نعم إن شاء الله. When it comes to the Sheikh is asking about what do I mean by riba لا يباح إلا للضرورة. Riba cannot be permitted unless there is a necessity. Well, let me take one step back by saying that prohibited matters in the Islamic law in general are of two different kinds. Okay, there is something called حرام لذاته, prohibited for itself, by itself. And there is something called حرام لغيره, prohibited for other causes. حرام لغيره is a certain act that might expose you to haram and might not. Okay, might expose you to more severe haram and might not, right? While حرام لذاته is the terminal, is the severe haram, is the most severe one. Now, when it comes to riba, certain transactions expose you to interest, but they do not mean that you are committing interest. Very good example for that is holding or using credit card in the USA here. If you know how to use it, if you use your credit card for purchasing items, paying bills, what else? What else? Yeah, traveling or whatever. As long as you avoid cash withdrawal, right? Cash withdrawal. As long as you commit yourself to paying the monthly statement in full before the due date, you can continue using your credit card for years and years without paying interest. This actually does not mean that the default rule is that using credit card is halal. No, because actually you cannot use it without agreeing to paying interest. But my point here is that agreeing to paying interest is not a direct, straightforward interest by itself. You just expose yourself to the possibility of paying interest. If you default, if you did not pay on time, if you did not pay in full, if you mistakenly use your credit card for cash withdrawal, then you have to pay interest. Permitted as needed only. That's my point. Permitted as needed only. And there is actually a need for it for us Muslims living in this society. If I'm to go back to Saudi Arabia or to Jordan or to Algeria or to Pakistan or whatever Muslim country, I would say that using this credit card that we use in the US, using it overseas actually is not allowed. Because the finance system, and the economic system is still simple. It's not as sophisticated as the system here in the US. I mean, you come across different points of sale where cash is not acceptable. Debit card, personal check is not acceptable. You have to have a credit card. Right? This is from one side. From the other side, in order for you to build your own credit history, credit scores, you have to have a credit card. So there is a public and general need for using it from one side, and as well as riba is avoidable. Riba is avoidable, and that's why holding credit card or using credit card is allowed. Unlike borrowing money from a bank. I mean, this is haramun lidatihi, because once you borrow money from Bank of America, you are not just exposing yourself to the possibility, you are committing interest. I mean, you commit yourself to paying interest. So riba here in this scenario is unavoidable, and that's why. Yes, yeah, and that's why we cannot permit, like from a Sharia perspective, we cannot permit borrowing money with interest, right? Unless there is a necessity. I'm running out of resources. I have to pay, the rent for my apartment or pay for the tuition fees of my kids or for my food. Okay, there is no other resource other than just going to Bank of America or to Chase and borrow money with interest. Can I do that? Yes, I can. Or that's interpreted as darura. I mean, I need to survive, right? If there is no other option, then I can go for it. No. But let me. Yes. Well, who is running your account? Vanguard, Fidelity.
But like it's in the market, so it's being traded. It's not.
Well, someone actually is doing the business in your behalf. Someone is trading in your portfolio, in your IRA, in your behalf. Am I correct? Well, it is zakatable in full actually. Yes, it is active. Okay, you need just to do some math in the month of Ramadan. Like if you're gonna withdraw everything, how much tax you have to pay? Because actually, as ZAD or whatever mutual fund company or even Vanguard, they send you a form toward the end of the year. This is the tax money that you have to. I mean, this is what you have to file to the IRS, and you have to pay tax because this is an regular IRA or Roth IRA, whatever. So you need to do the math and find out how much is the net amount. That net amount actually is the zakat al-wal.
So when you say like utilizing your 401k, taking advantage of it, to my knowledge, you have to invest in mutual funds and try to get like mutual funds that are Sharia compliant for your 401k.
If you can roll over to those Sharia compliant mutual fund companies, that would be a good idea. If you can roll over, if you cannot, I mean, you cannot. That's it.
So if you can't, like in my situation, I can't.
You can.
My dad's situation. So then it's like.
طيب, do you have the authority of like filterizing and setting your own portfolio? I mean, can you pick and choose, or you have like like preset options and you just pick and choose one of them and that's it?
Choose from a preset mutual funds, and then my question is, how do you screen those mutual funds to determine that?
If you can run your portfolio by any of those Muslim-owned mutual fund companies, I mean, just to give you an idea of what kind of portfolio, because I mean, for you it might be like kind of secret, like a myth, right? But they can like unlock that secret and just find out what kind of portfolio that you have. They can give you an estimate, assessment of the portfolio. That's all you have, maybe between 10 to 15%. In the real life, akhi, it's not. Yeah. This is what I want to say. In the real life, akhi, a certain stock might be a Sharia compliant one in the first half of the year, and it might become like a haram one, or should be avoided one in the second half of the year. It depends on the debt asset ratio and the interest bearing investment percentage and the actual interest generated. So it's not like like one rule for that particular stock forever. And that's why like those active Sharia advisors, they have to meet with their companies twice or three times a year to check those stocks and find out that they are still Sharia compliant ones. Yes. The best option for you is to have a peace of mind, just roll over to any of those companies. Zaki Financial actually is a good option for you. Zaki Financial, and I can assure you that their investment is Sharia compliant because I'm the Sharia advisor of that company. Yeah. طيب, let me take yes, Sheikh.
Like you mentioned, you want to talk about cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I will have another presentation tomorrow, inshallah. In which masjid, Sheikh Sohaib?
182nd, inshallah.
Yeah. But
182nd masjid, 8:15, right after Maghrib.
what is the name of the masjid?
182nd.
That's the name of the masjid?
It's known by 182nd masjid.
182nd? Yeah, I will meet you tomorrow on 182nd, okay? If you go to 188, I mean, I will not be there. Okay, briefly, cryptocurrency is highly disliked. Okay, we at our fiqh council do not claim that it is haram because there is a general acceptance, and that general acceptance actually is increasing day after day. If you ask me the same question 3 or 4 years ago, I would say stay away from it. But nowadays, national, international banks are accepting cryptocurrency as a method of payment. Some central banks worldwide, they accept cryptocurrency. Well, believe it or not, the RIS in the United States, starting 2021, okay, they charge tax on the cryptocurrency, which is like a very straightforward, to the point that they do admit that cryptocurrency actually is there. All right. In the real life, there is a lot of ambiguity and a lot of risk involved in it. Maybe I just mentioned today, I'm not sure. One of our community members lost 85% of his wealth through cryptocurrency. Very risky. Long story short, it's not haram, 100%, but I do believe it is not halal whatsoever. It is not. It's something in between. Stay away from it. Have a peace of mind. Invest your money in actual, real, tangible business. Buy and trade in commodities, or at least like stocks in the market. But stay far away from cryptocurrency. However, again, I do not dare saying it is haram. No, it is not.
Sheikh, in your council, how many people are from the tech world who have worked on cryptocurrency?
Well, the structure of our fiqh council is different. We have fuqaha, mashayikh, 7 members, right? and we have like a group of experts. So without consulting with the experts in the law and the economics and the finance and the medicine and we do not issue a fatwa. So we call those experts, we talk to them, we ask them to submit research papers. We discuss with them to make sure that we understand the nature of that contemporary issue, and then we issue a fatwa based on it. Within those 7 members, like the resident fatwa committee, I would say maybe I'm more involved in the finance issues than other members. But I do not depend, or they do not depend on my my understanding, because my understanding might be wrong. So I mean, we consult with others before we issue a fatwa.
Because it's a very new topic, and people from the tech world, I've been working on some stuff related to it. A lot of people don't understand. Even they call them experts, but their concepts are not clear.
Yeah.
So I think it's very dangerous to call it haram very quick.
Yeah. I'm not saying it is haram. I'm saying just to stay away from it because it is very, very dangerous, very risky, very risky. But it's not haram.
Stocks are very dangerous too. I would debate on that, but I have a very quick question.
Any bad experience with cryptocurrency on a personal level?
Myself, for many years.
So you're one of the victims of cryptocurrency, right?
No, victims, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
They've never lost anything.
Alhamdulillah. No. Yes, sir, go ahead.
So, Sheikh, like one thing that you were saying is like very important, which is I think confusing, is that you said like can you repeat what was the requirement for any income to be zakatable? You said it has to be accessible and it has to be
like full ownership and full access to it. Yeah. الملك التام رقبة ويدا. On top, I mean, this is with the assumption that that commodity or merchandise or property or asset or whatever is for sale or for business purposes, right? If it is not for business purposes, then it's not zakatable.
It's not?
No, it's not.
So how about gold?
I was about to talk about it. Jewelry, actually, jewelry like women jewelry, based on the most correct opinion, okay, as long as the jewelry is for the personal use of that particular woman, and not for business purposes, right? It is zakah exempt, unless like you strictly follow the Hanafi school of thought. I mean, that's different issue.
Even if you wear it once a year.
Even if you wear it once a year, but we need to set a standard here that we have to make sure that sister actually does have whatever called average for a 25 years old sister in the United States is different than the average of a sister of 25 years old living in thank you, or in Jordan, right?
In a culture
So
where they wear more commonly.
yeah, so we need to be careful here. And in order for us to consider the two different madhahib, the one that mandates zakah on jewelry and the one that exempts jewelry from zakah, okay, I would say personally, as long as the jewelry is for the personal use does not mean that she has to wear everything every day. It means that jewelry is designated for her, maybe once a year, and it is within the average. If you agree that the average is $20,000 worth of jewelry, and a sister has up to 100,000, well, that's way too much, right? The first 20,000 are zakah exempt because that's the average, and the remaining actually is zakatable. Another scenario, I came across some spouses who like buy jewelry for business purposes, although it is a jewelry, right? It's not like ounces, no, actual jewelry, but they buy it for business purposes. They just keep watching the market. Whenever the price goes up, they sell. When the price goes down, they buy, and so on and so forth. Even if it is a jewelry, even she wears it maybe regularly, like periodically or regularly, that's still zakatable, because the main reason behind buying the jewelry is business. If that is the case, if that is proven, then it is zakatable in full, as long as it reaches the nisab, which is 85 grams of gold.
So, Sheikh, one last thing is that the long-term investment that anyone buys and holds it for many years, it's complete ownership, and it's also instantly accessible on your fingertips to sell. So that should be zakatable.
Zakatable if it is tradable on the spot, like active in the market.
Every stock second you want.
What if you have like portfolio and just to sleep on it? I mean, it's not for business, like it's not for trading purposes.
Portfolio, when you were mentioning, it's only one that applies only when someone is actually trading for you. So like 401k or someone else is trading, then you don't have the ownership. You cannot tell them to sell. So that one you don't have access. So maybe not zakat.
No, the ownership actually is there, but someone
It takes longer.
someone is doing the business in your behalf, so you have to pay zakat on it.
Okay, that's zakat. But the first case is even more zakat. Like if I have owned stocks for many years, you know, if you have like if anyone has stocks, we can literally sell the stock instantly whenever I want.
No, I disagree. If you do have a portfolio and you are the one who is running it, managing it, and you are not active in the market, usually you do not buy and sell. You don't have to pay zakat on the market value on the stocks. You pay zakat on the dividend if you have dividend.
But Sheikh, I have 100% ownership of it, and I can sell it anytime. So it's instant income.
But it's not for sale. That's the difference. Let me ask you this: what's the difference between this scenario and the piece of land that you purchased back home 10, 15 years ago? And based on the Islamic School of thought that it's not zakat because it's not for sale. Now once you change your mind and you put it active in the market, okay, then you start paying zakat on its market value, even if it is not sold, believe it or not. You put it in the market for 1 year, it was not sold for some reason. You pay zakat on its market value on the zakat due date, because it became urud tijara. You see. It is sellable, it is liquidable, but it's not for sale.
It takes time for land to be sold. That stock is so liquidable that you can't say that it's on sale for market.
If it is IRA, it means that someone is running the business on your behalf, right? If it is a mutual fund, someone.
For the personal account, that's it. Like if we all have the ownership of the account, then it's instantly saleable. You cannot say that I can put it on sale and inshallah it will sell after 1 day. You can put the market price, it will sell the second.
Do you have TD Ameritrade account? Okay. How do you calculate zakah on the stocks that you have in the TD Ameritrade, and no one is running those stocks other than you, right? And usually you do not sell them. I mean, just buy and keep. Do you pay zakah on them?
I have been paying zakat.
You don't have to.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah, you don't have to.
I've been paying for many years, but if I'm doing it, inshallah, I hope it's not
But you're
wrong.
day trading, right? You're trading.
No. He just buys and keeps, right? I mean, you can pay zakah. There is a huge difference, akhi, between can I pay zakah versus do I have to pay zakah. Can I pay zakah? Oh, yes, you can. Man tatawwa khairan fa inna Allah. I mean, the more zakah you pay, the more reward you will be getting. Yeah, but technically speaking, do you have to pay zakah on a long-term investment portfolio in the stock market that you sleep on it for months and years and no one is running it on your behalf? No, you don't have to. You don't have to.
But is it considered zakat if I have paid, or is it?
If it is not zakat, it will be counted as sadaqah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not waste your good deeds. Yeah.
Like if I was paying everything just through zakat from the intention that okay, all my zakat will be paid off this amount. I don't have any other savings.
If your intention, akhi, was zakah, okay, and you do owe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala certain amount of zakah from different source, whatever you paid actually will be counted, will be a credit for you for the other one. Good to go? طيب تفضل.
A couple of questions, inshallah. First of all, jazakallah khair yani for being
Yeah.
So, a brother sent me a message saying, how can we avoid student loans and how can we do it Islamically in USA? I think you went through something like student loans, but inshallah if you can summarize it.
Halal by default sponsorship or funding opportunities like scholarships, financial aids and grants. If not, then subsidized student loan. If not, then unsubsidized student loan. Simple as that. I know. Yeah.
Second question, inshallah, then I'm done.
No.
So I remember you mentioned something about the concept of social security insurance versus life, insurance. So now, does that include any kind of insurance? Like let's say for example, car insurance. We have the mandatory that we all have to have it to drive our cars, and we have full insurance. So is that considered halal based on that concept?
To my knowledge, yes. I mean, my new madhab when it comes to insurance, I wholeheartedly believe that insurance actually is halal by default.
This is general. There is no like
Yes.
circumstances.
Of course, like certain options within life insurance are not allowed. I'll give you an example. If your life insurance policy gives you three options, first option is to pay $150 to get only the insurance benefit, like Allah forbids, upon your death, your family members will be getting $1 million. This is, I mean, to my knowledge, halal. Now, if you decide to increase your monthly your premium to $200 in order for you to get, number one, the insurance benefit, which is the $1 million one example, plus the premium that you paid, how much you paid before your death, $7,500. You get 1 million and you get your premium back, right? That is halal to my knowledge. Third option is to increase your premium to make it 250 in order for you to get, number one, the insurance benefit, 1 million, the premium, 7,500, and the interest of that premium. That interest on the premium actually is not allowed. So only just a few options within the life insurance have to be avoided. But the rest actually, I mean, as a concept, is halal. Bear in mind, Akhil Kareem, that there is a big difference between the theory and the practice, right? Yani, if you agree with me that insurance as a concept is halal, this does not mean that every single insurance company is practicing insurance in a very ethical and moral way. It's exactly like the difference between Islam and Muslims nowadays. I mean, Islam is a wonderful way of life. Muslims are not, right? Sorry.
What an analogy.
Insurance as a concept is good. Life insurance companies and other insurance companies are very abusive, taking advantage of the customers. So two different things. تفضل أخي.
I had a general question in regards to investing in itself. The goal of purchasing anything and selling is to buy at a certain price and sell at a higher price. So for daily trading or trading in general, how do you avoid getting in the mindset of gambling, mimicking gambling, diversifying and selling?
No, gambling is different. Gambling actually is to buy a ticket for $10 for like easy profit, right? Was that? Yeah, is to buy like in. I mean, you go to the lottery and just buy a ticket of $10, $15, right? In order for you, like with the hope of winning, $10,000, easy profit. There is no actual business involved in between. It's not, akhi, it's not the case if you invest those $10 or $15 in actual business. Well, you might purchase an item for $15, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts a barakah in it. I mean, you sell it for $50, and you invest again. So that $15 might become $10,000 within a few months, but in a halal way. Why? Because there was an actual real business involved. I mean, you buy, you sell, you trade, right? You take a risk, the liability of purchasing items, selling them. That's why, akhi, gambling is haram, and trade actually is halal. And we cannot apply the concept of gambling every time, everywhere. Because if you establish a business, okay, you might lose, you might break even, you might make profit. Well, do we consider this as a gambling? No, it's not. I mean, that's the nature of business. التجارة ربح وخسارة, as we say. عرفت أخي؟ Yeah, sure.
I think maybe what you're trying to say is more like, do you need to invest in the knowledge before you invest to something? For example, like, let's just say you want to buy Microsoft stock. You have to look at the 10K sheet as Microsoft and start to look at the cash ratio and all that. Based on that, you take your guess that it's a good company to invest in. If you lose it,
Yes, of course.
or, for example, what he's saying is that, oh, Microsoft's nice.
No.
Is that gambling?
You need to do your no. It's not a It's not a gambling. It's a kind of like carelessness about haram and halal, right? Yeah, you need to do your due diligence. You need to do your homework. You need to investigate and find out what kind of stocks you are about to invest in. If it is proven that this stock is a Sharia compliant one, go for it. If it is not, stay away from it. Simple as that. نعم أخي تفضل. Couple of what?
Let's say you acquired a couple of properties for real estate. At the end of the year, when you pay your zakat, do you have to sell the properties?
No, you don't have to. Are they for rent or for sale or for what?
You're renting them.
No, you pay zakah on the lease revenue if you still have that lease revenue available in the zakat due date. Okay, if you receive $1,000 every month lease revenue, rent money, and you spend that 1,000 either on yourself or on the property itself between tax and insurance and maintenance, in the month of Ramadan you ended up having $0 from those supposedly $12,000, then there is no money to worry about, right? No zakah. Zakah is mandated or paid based on the remaining income, the remaining profit. If something actually is generated, gained, and then spent, you're good to go. No money to worry about. No, you don't have to. No. Why should you sell it? No. If it is a rental property, well, basically it's not for sale. That's why we call it rental property. You designate that property for renting purpose, for leasing purposes. Okay. What if that house, that rental property, is just empty? It's not occupied. It's not rented. Do you have to pay zakah? No. If you change your mind and you remove that for rent sign and put for sale, from that point on, after 1 year, you have to pay zakah on the market value of the house because it became urud tijara, it became for sale. So it depends on your intention and your practice as well. Of the market value. If the market value of the house that's for sale for one complete year is $1 million, that is $25,000 zakah, straight. No. Done?
Is it permissible to use
like a uniform like me? Bald and a big beard, so I'll give you one more question. Go ahead. Just
Is it permissible to use guidance to purchase investment property?
Yes. Because actually investing in a halal way is a need. Like in the past, if you review AMJA declaration in 2014, we said only for residential purposes. Now we changed our mind. We said okay, even for commercial purposes, go for it.
Because I know Amin doesn't allow. I don't think so. They allow you to.
Amin's capacity is very limited,
It's only for first time.
and it is based on membership. So you have to invest money with them and keep paying until it is your turn. Last question. That's all.
Maybe I have the last.
Yeah, sure. You know what? And I promise that I'm available, so I take it back. Go ahead.
And then I know you said the insurance, I won't mind if you think it's halal. But said investing in insurance companies is a different issue because of their interest income.
We are mixing between insurance as a concept versus the sale process, the money. How do they invest it? Okay, let's go. You know what? Let's go with the mainstream opinion that life insurance is haram and Social Security is halal. Okay, is there any assurance that Social Security Administration in the U.S. is investing their surplus money in a halal way? They're not. See? So it's the same concept. Let's draw a line between the permissibility of insurance, if you agree with me, versus the violation, okay, and the Sharia in compliance practice of those entities who invest their money in a haram way. Two different things.
There is that, just because the product is acceptable.
But my point here is that we cannot prohibit insurance because the extra money is invested. This is how we draw a line between the.
Inshallah, I have a question about investing in real estate with non-Muslims. Let's say there is a company, they do a lot of real estate, they buy properties, etc. So, for example, I have the opportunity to put, for example, to invest, then I have my portion, based on the profit. Now, for them as non-Muslim companies, they deal with riba, they deal with interest, etc. Is that allowable?
It is allowed. It is. You are responsible for your own portion, for the nature of the business that you are getting involved in.
Regardless for them being, dealt with riba?
Regardless. Evidence for that is that Prophet ﷺ used to trade and deal with financially with the mushrikeen in Mecca, right? And with the Jews in Medina. And both communities were heavily involved in interest. It was never ever reported. The Prophet ﷺ investigated or asked, where did you get the money from before getting involved in a transaction? So you are responsible for the soundness and the permissibility of the deal itself. Now the source of income or the source of finance of your business partner, your customer, that's his responsibility. If you have like a, like a car dealership business, you sell cars, right? If you know for a fact that your customer is borrowing money with interest from a bank to pay for the car, can you still sell him the car? Yes, you can. I mean, you are not selling pork products, or I mean, you are selling a car. So where to get the money from? That's his responsibility.
Would you do the loan for him? If you do the
No, do not do the loan for him. Yeah, do not.
But I mean, if you do the loan, if you have an office to do the loan for him to get that money, would that be haram?
That's not allowed. That's not allowed because من يشفع شفاعة سيئة يكون له وتعاونوا على البر ولا تعاونوا على الإثم والعدوان, because of the hadith of Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم لعن الله آكل الربا وكيله وكاتبه وشاهده. So the direct involvement in processing and facilitating the loan or the finance for your customer, if it is a haram one, is absolutely not allowable. Stay away from it and let your customer handle the finance issue. Okay, you get your check and give him the car. That's it.
So those in our community and others who work jobs in car dealerships, and they do the finance, they work as a finance manager, that's what they do. Is that considered haram?
Are you asking about the owner of the car dealership or the finance officer who works for him? Finance officer actually who facilitates that transaction actually is committing a sin, because actually he's processing and facilitating interest-bearing loan, right? That's akil al-riba wa mukila katiba wa shahida. So he's a katib, he's a script. So he's actually involving himself in haram. If you want to finance, you either do an owner finance between you and the customer, in-house finance, or otherwise, if it is not doable in the real life, maybe you can bring a third party. Okay, like you outsource the finance issue to a third party, like a non-Muslim guy works for his own, right? You outsource that job and let him handle the dirty job, and you get your money. But you, as a practicing Muslim, you stay away from any kind of direct involvement in processing a loan, picking up the phone, filling out an application, submitting like paperwork to the bank, because this is a heavy involvement, direct involvement in processing interest, which is something that you need to stay away from. تفضل يا عماد. No.
When you said real estate investment, were you talking about, for example, a group of people came to buy, for example, a property or a house, as in that? So, for example, a group of Muslims can't just buy a house, let's say a business.
You bring John and Dave with أهلا وسهلا.
If they say, hey, Maud, we want you to invest with us in buying this house.
أهلا وسهلا.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah. As long as, of course, like the nature of the business itself is the halal one, right?
That's what I'm asking.
No. If the nature of the business, you want to establish a business with John and Dave, right? You are looking for 300,000. You have your own $100,000 halal, and John and Dave actually will be borrowing money with interest from the bank. Can you establish a business with them? Yes, you can.
Okay, that's what you mean.
Yeah. Yes, you can.
Yes, real estate.
That's what he was saying. That's what he was answering.
Yeah, as long as the nature of the business or the enterprise or the partnership between you, John and Dave, is halal. You want to purchase, you want to buy real estate properties and sell them. Okay, house flipping or like rental properties or whatever the business might be. Okay, that would be fine.
It wouldn't be because it's in the nature, so like financing in this case.
No, you're not financing with halal. And you have your own halal money, and they have their interest-bearing loan.
Dealing with them and then putting it together.
You got it?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to. I was thinking of the questions like that.
هلا هون on that same line يعني ذكروني بشغله. No English, okay. So you're partnering up with John and David. Every one of us, let's say, paid $100,000 to go into partnership, straight partnership. We lose, we're going to win. But now this money we're going to put in the $300,000 into the bank, and these guys gonna do the job, right? The job is called or whatever, right? But they're gonna go and borrow $1 million from the bank.
No. No.
So that's not allowed. Okay.
No. على قد الحافك مد شريك عندك $300,000, 100 from your side, 200 from their side. You can invest with them within those $300,000. But if the part of the deal is to put those $300,000 in the bank, right, and start generating interest or borrowing money, okay, well, that's wrong. And that's why I said several times, akhi, as long as the nature of the investment is a halal one. Now we are shifting. Now we are like diverting, going to a different direction. Yeah. I mean, it goes without saying.
Most of it's simple. Most of it, I'm sure everybody knows, but everybody's double checking.
Yeah, and those $300,000, can you buy a liquor store with John and Dave? There's a liquor store in the street, okay, next to the street, okay, $300,000. Can we buy it together? No, I mean, common sense. Because the nature of the business actually is a haram. See what I'm saying?
The reason I asked, so because I study businesses, all type of kind of businesses, and I wanted to see what is kind of halal to bring that to the community. A lot of people, they invest in the stock market. That's a problem. So why not to invest in real estate? Because there's a lot of companies that they do well in real estate, and subhanAllah, the outcome profit is
real estate is the stable, profitable, halal, peace of mind business, but like technically, not fiqh-wise, technically speaking, during this time, stay away from real estate because the price actually is very unpredictable. It goes up and down. Well, up and up, actually. It's not up and down. So I don't think it's a good idea from a business perspective.
Exactly, because a lot of
people, stay away from because
a lot of people in the Muslim communities, they don't do certain kind of businesses because of the fear, having haram transactions.
The price, the price now actually is like over inflated because of the inflation, because of the.
Everybody in the community to go into this out. So everybody, I think, has like someone's working here, someone there. So
no.
It's usually diversified, just like anything.
No.